Hey everybody, Eric with MountModernLife.com. I hope you guys are doing great. Now today we're going to dive into how easy it is to create your own custom light fixtures. But I do want to mention the fact that I did lose my voice a couple days ago, but I'm so determined to share this information. So hopefully you can bear with me and at the end you found the video helpful. Now, in our RV, we've actually created 5 different light fixtures. And in the past, we shared a video on how we made the Mason Jar wall sconces in the bedroom, but we never touched base on the light fixtures above our RV sofa, our media cabinet, and in our hallway. So today we're going to be focusing in specifically on the one above our sofa because we've been wanting to add a dimmer switch for a long time. Now, technically, these light fixtures are made for a sticks and bricks home, but there's an easy hack that can make them usable for an RV. And that's just simply making sure that the light bulb you're using matches the power supply to the specific fixture. So, for example, in our RV, all of our lights are powered by 12-volt power. So what we need to focus on is making sure that we always use a 12-volt light bulb. Now, with every RV manufacturer, things are different. So some RVs may have 120 volt power supplying the light fixtures, or 12 volt, or they may have a mixture of both. So it's just important if you're creating your own custom light fixture or picking up a light fixture from Amazon or any other home improvement store that's made for a sticks and bricks home, that you know what the power supply is so that you can match the light bulb to it. But anyway, that about wraps it up for getting started. Let's go ahead and dive into the supplies we're going to need. You'll need 3 wire nuts, a crossbar, pick the best one for your situation, 2 acorn nuts, a flat washer, a Starlock washer, a hex nut, 2 porcelain sockets with wire leads, 2 1/2-inch threaded hollow nipples, 1 3/4-inch threaded hollow nipple, a ceiling canopy, 3 female threaded straight couplings, a 2-inch pipe with male thread, a 2-sided small cluster body with 1 slotted plug, 2 10-inch pipes with male threads, 2 black socket cups, 2 12-volt LED light bulbs if you're using in your RV and that's your power supply, electrical tape, screwdriver, wire cutters, a dimmer switch, and if you need a new hole drilled for the switch, you'll need a drill and drill bits. And then also optional is the brass darkening solution, and this can give an antique bronze look to the unfinished brass components. And if you do take this route, you're going to want to use a clean cloth, a container, baking soda, and steel wool. Alright, so we are building a 2-arm sconce. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with 1 arm and we're going to show you how to build that, and then you can go ahead and make the second one yourself, and then we'll meet up in the middle. So one thing to note here real quick before we get started is that we have here our wired socket. And in our previous lighting videos, we've actually done the wiring ourselves, but this time we didn't. So one thing you're going to want to note here if you don't wire your own socket is to find out which one is the neutral and which one is the hot. So in our instance, our white is our neutral and our black is our hot. So later on, once we're wiring everything up, we're going to need to know that in order to do it correctly. But in order to go ahead and build 1 arm, you're going to need your socket, you're going to need your 1-inch threaded hollow nipple. Alright, so true confession, as we were making this light fixture, we actually ended up making a mistake, and we didn't find that until we went to install it, and we were running into problems with blowing fuses and the light not working. So I wanted to touch on it real quick right now because it's during this process with the threaded hollow nipple where we made our mistake. So as you see here, this is actually the inch-long steel hollow nipple. And when we first created the light fixture, we used this one. Now, where the problem came in is that when we screwed it into the bottom of our socket plate here, we had to screw it in pretty far in order to make sure that our other pieces after it threaded on all the way and tightened down. Now, where that problem comes in, as as you can see here, is when you screw it in further, it sticks up through the bottom. Now, where the problem comes in is that this actually is where your wires enter into the base of your socket. So if you screw in your hollow nipple too far, you can actually cut and sever the wires as they're connected to the socket, and it'll be pushing down on them, therefore creating a connection between the ground and the hot wire, which is going to blow your fuse every time. So in the video, as we proceed forward, it's going to show me basically making them with the inch-long steel hollow nipples. But when we talk in the material list, we do talk about the 1/2 inch and the 3/4 inch. And that is because we've actually replaced the inch-long steel hollow nipple for both of the sockets with a 1/2 inch one, and then we replaced the one that goes to the canopy with a 3/4 inch one. I just thought it was important right here to cut in, because during this step is where the mistake could be made. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get back to creating the light fixture, but just make sure that regardless of which steel hollow nipple you're using, when you're screwing it into your socket, try not to go further than the plate itself. And then what you can do is, if you get right even with the plate, that's when you go ahead and tighten this screw on the side, and then that is what's going to make sure that the hollow nipple is secure and in place and not going anywhere. Anyway, let's get back to making this. You're going to need your female threaded coupling. You're going to need your socket cup. You're going to need your 10-inch male threaded pipe, and you're going to need a screwdriver. So step number 1 is to grab your 1-inch hollow nipple and your socket with the wires, and you will want to run the wires through the 1-inch threaded nipple to the socket. Now, once you're here, you'll go ahead and screw it in. And once you've got it in there, you can go ahead and grab your screwdriver, and you'll want to tighten down this screw. And what that's going to do is make sure that this threaded nipple stays in place on the socket. And you don't need to get crazy tight with it. Just turn it until it stops turning and you're good to go. So now that that's in place, we'll go ahead and take our socket cup, and we will feed the wires through it. Which sometimes it works to do one at a time, like so. Slide that into place, and now our socket is in our socket cup. Now next, we will want to grab our female threaded coupling, feed the wires through, up to the threaded nipple, and screw it into place. And there is that. Now we will grab our 10-inch male threaded pipe, feed our wires through, and then into the female threaded coupling. And just like that, we tighten everything down, and one arm to our sconce is complete. Go ahead and get your other one completed, and then we'll get them connected to the center. All right, so we have the 2 arms of our light fixture all complete. So now we're gonna have to connect them at the middle. And in order to do that, we're gonna have our 2-hole cluster body, the top to our 2-hole cluster body, the plug for the 2-hole cluster body, the female threaded coupling, the 1-inch male threaded nipple, and the 2-inch male threaded pipe. Now, one thing to note here about the cluster body is that we did get a 2-hole cluster body, and they actually have 3, 4, 5-hole cluster bodies. So really, you can create as many arms as you want coming in and out of your light fixture. We're just going with 2 today. But anyway, let's go ahead and get this put together. And the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to take the 2-hole cluster body and the plug, and I'm going to go ahead and put the plug in the bottom, because that bottom hole we're not going to be using for anything. And now that that's in there, we'll go ahead and grab one of our arms. We'll put it off to the side here so that we can then feed the wires in through one side of our cluster body. Now that those are in there, we can slide it down here to the edge and we can attach our 10-inch male threaded pipe. And there that is. And now that that's in there, we'll grab our other side of the arm or of the light fixture and we'll follow the same step. All my pieces are getting in my way. Now we'll go ahead and screw in this side. And now both of our arms are attached to our cluster. So now that that's done, we will go ahead and take our cluster cap and feed it down. Actually, what I'm gonna wanna do here is I'm gonna feed these through one at a time so I can keep my white and black wires together how they're supposed to go. So those ones are coming from the right. Now, once you get those through, you can go ahead and screw in your cap. And now we will want to take our 2-inch male threaded pipe and feed all of the wires through there. And you'll notice here somewhere along the line I actually lost my covers for these wires, which is kind of accidental and a pain. So if you do that, you can twist them up, keep them a little more organized. Then we go ahead and twist in our 2-inch male threaded pipe into place. Now we will take our female threaded coupling and tighten that down. And now our 1-inch threaded nipple. And there that is. And now we're going to go ahead and grab the canopy and the dimmer and we'll get those all attached to the top of our light fixture. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and get this canopy attached along with our dimmer switch. And in order to do that, we're going to grab our canopy and we're going to feed the wires through the middle hole. And we will slide it over our 1-inch steel hollow nipple. And now that that's in place, we'll go ahead and grab our Starlock washer. Slide that into place. Then our normal washer. Then our hex nut. Then we will tighten that down. Now, it is important to note here that with our canopy, we have our hole for our dimmer switch here. And we want our dimmer switch to go towards the back so that it's not visible. So with our light fixture, as you can tell, either side could be the front. So the important thing for us here is to just make sure that the dimmer switch hole lines up with the middle of our light fixture. And then we want to tighten it down. All right, so now it's time to go ahead and add our dimmer switch. I do want to note real quick here, as you can see, I do already have a hole in the side of my canopy. Now that's because we're actually reusing this specific canopy from the light fixture we had above our sofa before, and we actually had a toggle switch back there, but it wasn't a dimmer. So we wanted to replace it with a dimmer, and it just so happens our dimmer switch will fit perfectly in the hole we already had. So we're gonna go ahead and use this. And another thing I want to note is that if you have a canopy that doesn't have a hole for a dimmer switch already, this is where the drill and the drill bit would come in handy in order to create that. And if you are interested in seeing how we did that, you can shoot over to our Mason Jar Light Fixture video, where we actually do go ahead and drill a hole in the canopy that we're using for those light fixtures, and that'll show you how we went about doing it. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to getting this dimmer switch in place. And what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna go ahead and remove the knob just by pulling it straight off. And then we're going to unscrew the nut here. And now that both of those are off, we will go ahead and take our dimmer switch and slide it through our hole into position. Then we will grab our nut and screw it into place. And now that that's good and tight, we'll go ahead and take our knob and slide that back into position. Make sure that it is twisting and turning, which it is. And now that is all good and ready to go. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this installed now that we have everything in place, but I'm not gonna cut these back or do any of that until we get it up there. If you are curious to see how we wired the dimmer and the wires themselves to the RV power, you can check out our Mason Jar Light Fixture. It's towards the end of that video where we do wire the exact same dimmer and the wires up to our RV power, which will be the same process. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get this installed and we'll come back and let you know how it looks. All right, so here we are. Our light fixture is installed and it's working great. We have our dimmer switch in place so we can go high or we can go low, which is really awesome. But we did want to kind of touch on 3 different reasons as to why we changed out this light fixture that don't involve just really being excited to share how to do it with you. And number 1 was that we did want to add a dimmer switch. Without the dimmer switch, when we turned on the light fixture, it was rather bright, and we like the idea of being able to go up and down with how much light we're getting in this area, especially since it's right across from the TV and when we eat out here and things like that. Another thing to note is that with our old light fixtures, we had created these before we even hit the road, and we couldn't find the components we wanted in the color we liked, so we actually spray painted them last time. Now that held up great, but the problem was that we were going through the process of creating them. We actually had spray painted the threads, so it made it extremely difficult to get the light fixture apart if we made a mistake or something like that. So if you are going to create one of these and you're going to spray paint your components instead, we just recommend that you tape off the threads, and then that way if you do make a mistake and have to pull it apart, it'll be a lot easier for you. And then number 3 is that on our light fixture before, we actually had 2 components that allowed for the light bulbs to go up or down if we wanted to. And they just really weren't necessary, especially above the sofa. So we wanted to kind of clean that up and just have them go straight across. So those are the 3 main reasons that we looked to change out this light fixture, and we addressed all of them with this new one we created. So we're really happy about that. But we did want to note one more thing, and that is that we do have our exposed light bulbs here, and we have 3 light fixtures throughout the RV that do have the exposed bulbs. And one thing that's really important if you're going to create this type of light fixture, whether it be in your RV or your home, is just be aware of where you're going to put it and how it's going to be interacted with, say, your guests or family members or anyone that's going to be in the space. Because with them being exposed, if you bump into them or bang them or anything like that, they can break. Fortunately, we've only actually broken one bulb, and it was before we even hit the road during the renovation process above our media cabinet. So we've gotten used to where they're at, and we think that we position them in a way that they're pretty hard to run into. But just something to keep in mind if you guys are going to be creating exposed bulb light fixtures. But other than that, that about wraps it up. I did want to let you guys know that we are going to have a post over on our website that'll go into a little bit more detail and also include the materials list and take you over to where we got our specific materials. But one thing that's really cool about creating these style of light fixtures is that there are a ton of different companies out there that offer a variety of different components. So you can really get creative with your light fixtures and dream up really anything you want for your space. And there's probably a component out there that you can make your light fixture with. But anyway, make sure to cruise back and check out that post once we get that up. And then other than that, that is about it. I really hope that this video was helpful for you guys. Don't forget to subscribe and ask us any questions or leave any comments you may have, and we'll see you guys again soon.